Duty note: the FBI is sending out warnings that a terrorist attack on the U.S. is imminent and advising to stock up on a month's worth of essential items. The Rothschild-Khazarian Mafia empire owned the U.S. Federal Reserve, the IRS, all central banks across the world and 90% of international corporations such as the World Health Organization, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street and World Economic Forum, and with a global currency reset pending. Along with the fiat U.S. dollar, they were all in the process of bankruptcy, including U.S. Incorporated's Federal Reserve and Treasury. Runs on banks were beginning across the world and there may soon be shortages of items in the stores. Though, we must remember that the White Hat Military Global Alliance was in charge. They has a plan. That plan was winning over the dark side and the global currency reset was in view. Buckle up. Enjoy the ride. President Trump reminds us, those who would destroy our lives with lies, will themselves be destroyed by truth. Where we go one, we go all. FBI warns that a terrorist attack is imminent. FBI warning to Americans, get ready now for full-spectrum survival. Wednesday, 1st of November. Tina, my son-in-law works for Wells Fargo in Charlotte, North Carolina area and spends most of his time on Zoom calls with others at Wells including bigwigs like CFOs. Today on the call they were told that the FBI had contacted them and were told to tell their people to stock up on enough provisions for a month, that something was going to happen soon. The U.S. Treasury is officially bankrupt, will borrow $1 trillion from the Fed. In Australia the banks are refusing customer withdrawals from their bank accounts. In 1871 the Rothschild-Khazarian Mafia created Israel under the 1871 Corporation Act. That Israel Incorporated lease ended on Tuesday, 31st of October and the State of Israel is no more, meaning they will no longer be funded by the cabal. The Rothschild-Khazarian Mafia empire not only owned Israel, but the U.S. Federal Reserve, IRS, which funded the UN, all central banks across the world and 90% of international corporations such as the World Health Organization, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and World Economic Forum. The Rothschild-Khazarian Mafia empire's wealth was based upon the Middle East acceptance of the U.S. petrodollar for oil payments. By 2008 that U.S. petrodollar was declared bankrupt. The Rothschild-Khazarian Mafia was unable to pay even the interest on gold they borrowed from the Chinese elders used to set up the U.S. financial system in 1913. For many years prior the U.S. Congress had been on an endless spending spree without conforming to a budget, which included unaccounted for monies given to the CIA's black budget. That endless CIA black budget was used by the Khazarian Mafia for their covert operations. As a result of endless spending by Congress and the CIA, plus the enormous interest the Rothschild-Khazarian Mafia charged U.S. citizens to use their own monies, the U.S. had run out of gold to back their currency. The Rothschild-Khazarian Mafia's Federal Reserve solved that problem by printing fiat currency. In that same 2008 when the U.S. dollar was declared bankrupt, the nations of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa formed the BRICS alliance. They were concerned about the demise of the fiat U.S. petrodollar that was being used as a basis for international trade. BRICS proceeded to calculate the worth of 209 countries' natural resources including gold deposits. BRICS was planning a global currency reset where each country would have its own currency, with those currencies being at a 1-to-1 to each other for the purpose of international trade. As of that same Tuesday, 31st of October when Israel Incorporated became defunct, over 200 countries would no longer accept the fiat U.S. petrodollar for oil transactions, plus refuse to buy any more U.S. bonds, while China would no longer purchase U.S. debt. The rejection of the U.S. petrodollar, refusal of countries to buy U.S. bonds, with the U.S. debt limit reached and with China no longer willing to purchase that U.S. debt meant that the fiat U.S. dollar no longer had power over the global financial system. Plus the Rothschild-Khazarian Mafia which had controlled that fiat U.S. dollar since 1913. No longer had control of the U.S. political and banking system. The impending catastrophe of the fall of the useless fiat U.S. petrodollar was bound to soon cause a massive stock market crash, catching many unaware of its potential magnitude. Once a stock market correction occurred, precious metals that the Rothschilds worked so hard to suppress, would rise unabated, opening the door to the new gold/asset-backed global currency reset. A timeline overnight Sunday 15th of October. The banks completed the remaining layers of payments, plus the IMF and World Bank held their last meeting. By Monday 16 October the Iraqi dinar had revalued and began trading on the back screens of the Forex. On Thursday 26 October President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered. On Friday 27 October the U.S. began pulling 3,600 U.S. troops out of Iraq so Iraq could declare themselves a sovereign nation, while the new rate of the dinar was said to have gone international, although had yet to show on the front screens of the Forex. Around Monday 30 October the country of Colombia revalued their currency, so now we have at least two countries, Iraq and Colombia, which have revalued their currencies, perhaps more. October 31 All Hallows Eve was when children were raped and sacrificed in honor of Satan. It was the day that Israel lost corporate status, meaning Israel Incorporated was bankrupt, along with other corporations of the cabal, and no longer considered a nation, all of which, along with Middle Eastern nations no longer accepting the fiat petro-US dollar for oil trade, was expected to soon cause a devastating stock market crash, bringing in the need for a global currency reset. Friday 3 November Shiite factions in Lebanon linked to Iran have given Israel until 1500 hours on Friday 3 November to stop attacks on the Gaza Strip. That Friday 3 November appeared to be a highly coordinated date. Saturday 4 November, when President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered, it took us to Saturday 4 November. The same day that bond people have been told they would have liquidity. Get ready for EBS activation. Q says that after Argentina's election on Sunday 22 October, everything would change and the world would soon have no internet for a while. We are approaching that timeline. Get ready for it, Q bombshell. EBS activation on October 22, Biden's retirement, Trump's return, and the White Hat's plan revealed. Starting January 1, 2024 the fiat US dollar would be replaced by the gold/asset-backed US note. All such gold/asset-backed currencies across the globe would be on par 1-to-1 with each other, Social Security benefits will be much higher in the SSR&R, payments would start on a monthly basis. In the next 3 to 6 months the Rodriguez Trust will begin to administer universal basic income for citizens of all GC.R-compliant countries. The amount per individual or family will depend on the status, needs, employment level and age of the person/family and will work to encourage people to work if they can. B Global Currency Reset, Wednesday 1 November. TNT, the RV was supposed to go last night, so we are just waiting. Wednesday 1 November. Marks, a number of contacts both in and outside of Iraq said it did go very well this past weekend and they are expecting an announcement within days. 2s. 31 October Bruce, one of Bruce's contacts said reclamation and restitution funds would be released for seniors 65 and older this coming weekend Sat. Sun 4. 5 November. During the month of November the Social Security raises should be seen in your regular SS paycheck. Bank rates were connected to the Forex, while redemption center screens showed higher rates, so it would benefit to do your exchange/redemption at a redemption center rather than a bank. All ZIM holders must go to redemption centers. 2s. 31 October Mr. Salvage on Telegram, there was a report that the paymaster of New York Michael J. Rubin said that everything was done. All money was in all banks and ready to go. All codes were in. The nation of Colombia was already liquid. Just have patience. We are there. Kurdistan, the Kurdistan Regional Government, KRG, has announced its decision to exclusively adopt the Iraqi dinar for all transactions at border crossings and airports, effective on Wednesday 1 November. 2s. 31 October PR.EAKING on Telegram. Okay guys, I sat down with one of my bank's branch managers today. They are Basel III and IV compliant. I asked her about the RV and she said she just got an email coming through that said the 2s. 7th November she's checking in with her higher-ups getting back to me. Her response was, how do you know all this? Lol hoo let's go. Craig Wilson, folks, it is being reported tonight Monday 30th October, that about a week ago, the Iraqi GOI and the CBI, released to the U.S. Treasury, the new international exchange rate. This came from an Iraqi bank partner of a bank here in the USA. It is also believed that the U.S. Treasury has started some exchange steps with the CBI of some of the Iraqi dinar that the U.S. Treasury holds in its reserves. Sorry it's not on ABC or NBC or any fake stream news yet, but it is from a source that IMO has credible information. That is all, carry on. With the global currency reset will come real estate tokenization, where buying a home normally took 30 days to close would be done in 30 seconds. Tokenization will change and no longer be called mortgage, which literally means death pledge. Loans will no longer exist. Monday 30th of October TNT, the IMF and Federal Reserve contacts are saying the rate should change by November 1st. Banks have been told the same. Announcement of the new Iraqi dinar rate was imminent. Iraq placed lower denominations of dinar at ports and airlines on Thursday 26th of October. Monday 30th of October marks. Bond folks are still saying they expect theirs on November 4th right now. I hear the 5th is huge from a number of sources. That would make sense if they go late on the 4th and unleash us on the 5th, but who knows. Monday 30th of October Wolverine, we are still going, guys. Colombia is a good example. On Sunday 29th of October, they had a meeting with leaders all over the world. They are ready to go. Monday 30th of October Bogotá Colombia banker Nelson Ruiz, the BBVA Compass Bank is ready, all paymasters have the money and codes are liquid and ready to go. Everyone was positive after the reunion last Tuesday. 24th of October in the redemption centers we will get a new computer. Saturday 28th of October. Alex Collier, the dinar went international on Friday 27th of October and on that same Friday they began pulling 3,600 U.S. troops out of Iraq so Iraq could declare Iraq a sovereign nation. 2 days ago President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered. Monday 30th of October Dave's RP Redemption Center in Zimbabwe. Biggest and most important update ever, we never expected this. 2s. 31st of October The power of the groundbreaking QFS ledger account, ISO 20022 coins, XRP and XLM, the impending GC.R, and why the traditional banking system's days are numbered. See Global Financial Crisis, the U.S. Treasury is officially bankrupt, will borrow $1 trillion from the Fed. Wednesday 1st of November. General McInerney, banks are blocking transfers and cash withdrawals, making it very difficult to access your own money in Australia. U.S. government arrests founder of SafeMoon crypto token. D. Restored Republics, Wednesday 1st of November. Continuity of government, Derek Johnson. October 5, 2023, White Hats destroy FEMA's EBS, 2s. 31st of October Ladies and gentlemen the new republic, a dramatic shift in governance and fiscal policy. 2s. 31st of October Urgent. Military Intel, Congress and the Intel Committee are planning to expose the military coup, Wednesday 1st of November. List of 200 U.S. organizations that have financial ties to Nazi war criminal George Soros, which actively seek to overthrow America's Democratic Republic. World War III, on 2s. 31st of October Yemen officially declared they are at war with Israel. The Republic of Yemen is the first country officially to announce its entry into the Battle of the Flood of Al-Aqsa and launches a large number of ballistic and winged missiles and drones at a number of Israeli IDF targets inside occupied Palestine. Wednesday 1st of November. Hamas vows to repeat October 7th, get ready for Friday 3rd of November. 2s. 31st of October Eyes wide open, 21 of the world's strongest armies, including the US, UK, China, and Russia, are building up their military power in the Middle East for the first time since the end of World War II. Wednesday 1st of November, Taiwan says China has sent another 43 military aircraft and 7 ships near the island and the article just happens to mention 6 o'clock. Taiwan's defense ministry said the figure was current for the 24 hours up to 6 a.m. Wednesday 1st of November, IDF sends warships to Red Sea after aerial attacks from Yemen. Vladimir Putin, when you look at bloodied children, dead children, how women, old people suffer, how doctors die, and fists clench, and tears well up in your eyes, you can't say it any other way. But we shouldn't, we don't have the right to allow ourselves to be guided by emotions. We must clearly understand who is really behind the tragedy of the people of the Middle East and other regions of the world. Who organizes deadly chaos, who benefits from it. Today this has become obvious and clear to everyone, the customers act openly and brazenly, it is the ruling elites of the United States and their satellites that are the main beneficiaries of global instability. 2s. 31st of October Benjamin Fulford, fake President Biden declares World War III but he has no army, an additional 300 U.S. troops will deploy to the U.S. Central Command Area of Operations from the continental United States. Pentagon Press Secretary Air Force Brigadier General Pat Ryder said today. 2s. 31st of October breaking news, Yemen Army spokes, Yemen has officially declared war on Israel, Hal Turner report, Israel strikes Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza, says it took out a Hamas leader. 2s. 31st of October boom. Putin's explosive accusations against the West and the deep state, Wednesday 1st of November. Breaking. Highest level issued. Warning to all. F. The real news for Wednesday 1st of November. HARP, a weapon of mass destruction that creates climate change, angels definitely don't play this HARP. It uses electromagnetic waves to stimulate geophysical events such as modifying the weather, earthquakes, climate change, hurricanes and the like. To put it simply, it works by transmitting high amount of radio frequencies into the ionosphere. It boils the upper atmosphere and after heating and disturbing the ionosphere, the radiation will bounce back onto Earth in the form of long waves which penetrate our bodies, the ground and the oceans etc. HARP and all the rest of the ionosphere heaters located around the globe are weapons of mass destruction, period. J. Biden crime family. Joe Biden sold a house for $1.2 million in 1996 and nearly 3 decades later it's still only worth $1.65 million. Did he get paid over the odds by a donor? Joe Biden received $40,000 directly in laundered China CCP cash. More direct evidence of the Biden crime family using Joe's last name. And there was always a cut for the big guy. Dangers of 5G towers. Occultic technocrats have found a way to broadcast their black magic via technology. The 5G towers are actually psi weapons, they have nothing to do with high-speed internet. They specifically target part of the brain's nervous system that they want in order to make you feel more docile, angry, sad, or anxious, depending on the situation and the outcome which they desire. They have been using these weapons for a very long time, even prior to World War II. They have been using it to break the spirits of their enemies, where these frequencies can become too much to handle. CIA torturing, sexually abusing, killing children in mind control programs. Part 1, Judy Byington has published in before its new CIA torturing, sexually abusing, killing children in mind control programs. There has been no media coverage on the 31 years of congressional investigations on the satanic ritual abuse of children in a CIA mind control program called MKUltra. Nor has Congress acted upon results of their findings after sponsoring 3 different hearings on the subject during those 31 years. Over 16 years ago 20 leading journalists, including winners of several Emmys and a Pulitzer, described being prevented by corporate media ownership from reporting riveting stories on major cover-ups such as these human experiments on children. When was the last time you read about or saw a media broadcast on CIA mind control? Never. The banning of journalists from reporting on this government-sponsored torturous abuse of children was obviously going on today as per testimonies of those who were lucky enough to survive and their therapists. Though since 1964 and to this day, many other victims have come forward to prove that the CIA mind control of child victims was ongoing. It involved childhoods filled with rape, torture and being made to view the murder of other children, often their friends. Way back in a 2007 extreme abuse survey, 234 satanic ritual abuse survivors stated that they remember being used in CIA government-sponsored mind control experiments in the U.S. While 83 said they remember being used in CIA government-sponsored mind control experiments in Canada. As children who often were born into multi-generational satanic ritual abuse families, subjects of the surveys claim they were subjected to brain implants, 117, electronic harassment, 460, electroshock treatments, 558, eugenics experiments, 90, forced impregnation, 416, and abortion, 395, forced participation in murder by perpetrators, 502, forced to abuse other child victims, 615, forced to murder or think they murdered a baby, 560, and were the victims of incest, 780. Over 59 years ago in 1964 CIA mind control survivor Linda McDonald, who was born into a multi-generational satanic ritual abuse family of the McDonald's hamburger franchises, won a class action lawsuit against the CIA. In that same 1964, Congress began hearings on a CIA mind control program called MKUltra and supposedly officially shut it down. By the 1970s more SRA survivors have come forward to Congress and they again began investigations and hearings on the CIA mind control program child torture program, MKUltra. Some reported that CIA directors Richard Helms and George W. Bush were their perpetrators. It wasn't until 1973 that CIA Director Richard Helms resigned, though he did so only after destroying MKUltra documents. In 1976 another congressional investigation on CIA human experimentation in MKUltra finally led to a 1977 U.S. Senate BR.EAKING committee investigation, though Congress voted not to publish the dramatic results. By 1995 CIA satanic ritual abuse mind control was back on the congressional menu titled the President's Advisory Committee on Human Radiation Experiments by the CIA. Among those testifying were two SRA survivors, Christine Nichol and an unnamed, plus a SRA therapist. They testified of child rape, torture and naked children being made to view the murder of others, who were often young ones who the victims were emotionally close to like childhood friends or family members. Videos of the SRA survivor and therapist testimonies have disappeared from the internet and later, all three died under mysterious circumstances. The purpose of the CIA mind control programming is to secure lifelong power over an individual in order to create super spies, terrorists, assassins and/or have lifelong control over a victim. That preferred victim was likely a young child because multiple personalities controlled by the perpetrator can only occur in the developing brain of a child subjected to prolonged trauma. The torture to separate brain patterns begins at a very early age, sometimes even in the womb through electroshock treatments on the mother. In 1950 CIA mind control experiments were said to have begun on humans, many of whom were innocent children. Although, since the techniques came out of World War II Nazi Germany concentration camps, the torture-based experiments on children were believed to have started much earlier. The CIA program eventually known as MKUltra consisted of 149 sub-projects, plus another 33 closely related programs. There were 80 participating U.S. and Canadian institutions including 44 colleges and universities. All were, and it is suspected, still were presently being funded by U.S. taxpayers through a CIA black budget. In 1964 after a successful lawsuit by mind control survivor Linda McDonald, of the McDonald franchises, congressional inquiries supposedly ended MKUltra, not true. MKUltra research continued but was curtailed in 1967 and thought extinct by 1973 after MKUltra documents were destroyed by CIA Director Richard Helms prior to his resignation and another congressional inquiry. Yet, the 1977 Freedom of Information Act was able to uncover 20,000 MKUltra financial documents on the program that were not destroyed and proved that the program was ongoing. CIA mind control survivor Christine Nichol testified before a 1995 President's Advisory Committee on CIA Human Radiation Experiments claiming she was subjected to human experiments from age 4 through age 14, or until 1976. Victim C who testified in the same hearing said she was in the experiments from age 7 through age 24, or until 1984, 20 years after the supposed closure of MKUltra. In the 2007 Extreme Abuse Surveys, 234 ritual abuse survivors stated that they remember being used in government-sponsored mind control experiments in the U.S., while 83 said they remember being used in government-sponsored mind control experiments in Canada. In reviewing ages of the over 1,471 severe abuse study participants in the surveys, over half were born after 1964 when MKUltra was supposedly no longer functioning. Many were being abused way after 1973 when Helms resigned and destroyed MKUltra documents. In the 2007 Extreme Abuse Studies 147 mind control victims stated yes when asked if they were currently being accessed and abused by ritual abuse mind control perpetrators against their will. Statistics from the 2007 Extreme Abuse Surveys. Ages and number of those who responded yes to the question, I was subjected to government-sponsored mind control experimentation. 0 to 2 139, 3 to 6 226, 7 to 13 234, 14 to 17 173, 18 to 30 116, 31 plus 91. I have been transported out of my local area for purposes of ritual abuse/mind control. 465 responded yes I have been transported out of my country for the purposes of ritual abuse/mind control. 177 responded yes. Government-sponsored mind control experiments were performed on me as a child. 257 responded yes my perpetrator deliberately created programmed dissociative states of mind. 640 responded yes. Responded yes to I was subjected to, brain implants 117, electronic harassment 460, electroshock 558, eugenics experiments 90, forced abortion 395. Forced impregnation 416, forced participation in murder by perpetrators 502, forced to abuse other victims 615, forced to murder or think they murdered a baby 560, incest 780. U.S. government mind control survivors have testified that they have witnessed U.S. government officials using children as sex slaves with political figures to blackmail and secure U.S. tax monies to fund programs. Repetitive trauma on child victims was known to result in a breakdown of the psyche, fractured parts and dissociation. With memories of trauma repressed, victims are most often not believed when memories come forward through fractured parts 20 to 30 years after the fact. This makes it near impossible for victims to be believed, or granted prosecution of crimes against them and their children. Perpetrators appear to have high rankings in our churches, communities and government. U.S. government human experiments on children is blatantly happening today according to the watchdog, Alliance for Human Research Protection. They say that 6 o'clock on Halloween 31st of October was dangerous, it was game over. On that same Tuesday, 31st of October, the Balfour lease on Israel, incorporated as a private company owned by the Rothschilds' Khazarian mafia, was over. Israel had lost its status as a corporation, meaning it was bankrupt, along with other corporations of the cabal. The Rothschild/Khazarian mafia owns Israel, the Federal Reserve and the IRS. Mike Johnson was billing them and putting the tab on their table to pay for a war they started so they could take land from Palestinians by using Hamas to attack Israeli citizens and blaming it on Palestine. The Rothschild family was bankrupt. Their treasures sold for over $62 million at New York City auction. Rothschild reveals crucial role his ancestors played in the Balfour Declaration and creation of Israel. The Rothschild ex-Ukraine connection. A brief history of the Rockefeller/Rothschild/Khazarian mafia empire. All central banks and 90% of the international corporations such as the World Health Organization, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street and World Economic Forum were owned by the Rothschild-Khazarian mafia empire. The president of Switzerland, Alain Berset, one of the group leaders of Octagon, has announced his resignation. His Rothschild cabal was bankrupt. All large international corporations were registered in Israel, bankrupt and illegal as of Tuesday, 31st of October. That was why Israel was now surrounded by warships from all the major countries. These international corporate bankruptcies, along with the fact that the Mideast Arab nations were no longer accepting the fiat petro-US dollar for oil trade, were all combining to soon cause a devastating stock market crash that would bring in a global currency reset. As the global currency reset of 209 nations' currencies revalued to a gold/asset-backed standard and away from the fiat Federal Reserve US dollar, the New World Order globalists' reset plan of a fiat digital currency designed to control your life and pocketbook, was no more. Israel as a country no longer existed, while U.S. Incorporated was still a private company owned by the Rothschilds' Khazarian mafia, which in order to retain control of the peoples of the world, was preparing to start nuclear World War III. Nuclear World War III threat. 21 of the world's strongest armies, including the US, UK, China, and Russia, were building up their military power in the Middle East. The largest fleet of warships NATO has ever assembled was gathering in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. On Tuesday, 31st of October, the Iranian vassal state of Yemen, run by Tehran's Houthi proxy group, officially declared war against the state of Israel. They're gonna shut the net down under the guise of security issues. Biden hosted Halloween at White House. Are you kidding me? Biden was about to be charged by a House committee with over 240 crimes including child trafficking, that included human trafficking in an underground tunnel beneath his Ukraine property. Just prior to Biden's fake inauguration, kidnapped and abused children were rescued from an underground tunnel beneath the White House. Congress, Biden arrested as military rescues tortured children from tunnels beneath Capitol Hill. Now we were expected to believe that our senile president, played by an actor, was celebrating Satan's birthday, which for Satanists like him included pedophilia parties followed by child sacrifice, at the White House. Biden's fake White House, where he is normally filmed, was located in Georgia. When is this horror movie going to end? Using over 9,000 sealed indictments, globalists have been taken to Gitmo by U.S. Special Forces. Bombshell. 9,000 sealed indictments. The world's most wanted people have been taken to Gitmo by U.S. Special Forces. 2s. 31st of October. General Flynn: some members of the House and Senate are compromised by globalists who blackmailed them. A timeline: overnight Sunday 15th of October. The banks completed the remaining layers of payments, plus the IMF and World Bank held their last meeting. By Monday 16th of October the Iraqi dinar had revalued and began trading on the back screens of the Forex. On Thursday 26th of October President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered. On Friday 27th of October the U.S. began pulling 3,600 U.S. troops out of Iraq so Iraq could declare themselves a sovereign nation, while the new rate of the dinar was said to have gone international, although had yet to show on the front screens of the Forex. October 31st All Hallows Eve was when children were raped and sacrificed in honor of Satan. It was the day that Israel lost corporate status, meaning Israel Incorporated was bankrupt, along with other corporations of the cabal, and no longer considered a nation, all of which, along with Middle Eastern nations no longer accepting the fiat petro US dollar for oil trade, was expected to soon cause a devastating stock market crash, bringing in the immediate need for a global currency reset. Friday 3rd of November Shiite factions in Lebanon linked to Iran have given Israel until 1500 hours on Friday 3rd of November to stop attacks on the Gaza Strip. That Friday 3rd of November appeared to be a highly coordinated date. Saturday 4th of November, when President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered, it took us to Saturday 4th of November. The same day that bond people have been told they would have liquidity. Get ready for EBS activation. Q says that after Argentina's election on Sunday 22nd of October, everything would change and the world would soon have no internet for a while. We are approaching that timeline. Get ready for it. Q bombshell. EBS activation on October 22nd, Biden's retirement, Trump's return, and the White Hat's plan revealed. Starting January 1, 2024 the fiat US dollar would be replaced by the gold/asset-backed US note. All such gold/asset-backed currencies across the globe would be on par 1-to-1 with each other. Social Security benefits will be much higher in the SSR&R. Payments would start on a monthly basis. In the next 3 to 6 months the Rodriguez Trust will begin to administer universal basic income for citizens of all GC.R-compliant countries. The amount per individual or family will depend on the status, needs, employment level and age of the person/family and will work to encourage people to work if they can. B Global Currency Reset, 2s. 31st of October Bruce was told that if we didn't get the 800s to set redemption/exchange appointments on Tuesday, 31st of October, then we would get them on Wednesday 1st of November. One of his contacts said reclamation and restitution funds would be released for seniors 65 and older this coming weekend. Sun 4, 5th of November. During the month of November the Social Security raises should be seen in your regular SS paycheck. Bank rates were connected to the Forex, while redemption center screens showed higher rates, so it would benefit to do your exchange/redemption at a redemption center rather than a bank. All ZIM holders must go to redemption centers. 2s. 31st of October Mr. Salvage on Telegram, there was a report that the paymaster of New York Michael J. Rubin said that everything was done. All money was in all banks and ready to go. All codes were in. The nation of Colombia was already liquid. Just have patience. We are there. Kurdistan, the Kurdistan Regional Government, KRG, has announced its decision to exclusively adopt the Iraqi dinar for all transactions at border crossings and airports, effective on Wednesday 1st of November. 2s. 31st of October BR.EAKING on Telegram, okay guys, I sat down with one of my bank's branch managers today. They are Basel III and IV compliant. I asked her about the RV and she said she just got an email coming through that said the 2s. 7th of November she's checking in with her higher-ups getting back to me. Her response was, how do you know all this? Lol hoo let's go. 2s. 31st of October Texas Snake, well folks, one more confirmation that we are on the tip of the goal line, one more step and we are there. God bless. Craig Wilson, folks, it is being reported tonight Monday 30th of October, that about a week ago, the Iraqi GOI and the CBI, released to the U.S. Treasury, the new international exchange rate. This came from an Iraqi bank partner of a bank here in the USA. It is also believed that the U.S. Treasury has started some exchange steps with the CBI of some of the Iraqi dinar that the U.S. Treasury holds in its reserves. Sorry it's not on ABC or NBC or any fake stream news yet, but it is from a source that IMO has credible information. That is all, carry on. With the global currency reset will come real estate tokenization, where buying a home normally took 30 days to close would be done in 30 seconds. Tokenization will change and no longer be called mortgage, which literally means death pledge. Loans will no longer exist. Monday 30th of October TNT, the IMF and Federal Reserve contacts are saying the rate should change by November 1st. Banks have been told the same. Announcement of the new Iraqi dinar rate was imminent. Iraq placed lower denominations of dinar at ports and airlines on Thursday 26th of October. Monday 30th of October marks a lot of rumors coming out of Iraq right now. They still think they are a go by November. 1st. Bond folks are still saying they expect theirs on November 4th right now. I do not know where they are in the line, pre-RV or post-RV. I hear the 5th is huge from a number of sources. That would make sense if they go late on the 4th and unleash us on the 5th, but who knows. Monday 30th of October Wolverine, we are still going, guys. Colombia is a good example. On Sunday 29th of October, they had a meeting with leaders all over the world. They are ready to go. Monday 30th of October Bogotá Colombia banker Nelson Ruiz, the BBVA Compass Bank is ready, all paymasters have the money and codes are liquid and ready to go. Everyone was positive after the reunion last Tuesday. 24th of October in the redemption centers we will get a new computer. Monday 30th of October Ariel, we are at the cusp of great changes and a stock market correction. The fiat USD will not be accepted for oil payments after Tuesday. 31st of October on that same Tuesday. 31st of October Israel will be a defunct corporation. Saturday 28th of October. Dr. Tom, the militaries of each country are in control of the RV funds and they are doing the RV. We are at any day, any min. Your future investments will not be done with banks, but directly with the U.S. Treasury or treasuries of the country in which you reside. The IRS and Federal Reserve are gone. Saturday 28th of October. Alex Collier, the dinar went international on Friday 27th of October and on that same Friday they began pulling 3,600 U.S. troops out of Iraq so Iraq could declare Iraq a sovereign nation. 2 days ago President Trump said the next 7 to 8 days would be ones to be remembered. Wednesday 25th of October. Militiaman. Recently we showed that the World Trade Organization is talking about full ascension in the fourth quarter and we are now in that fourth quarter. For the past over 2 weeks the revalued Iraqi dinar has been trading on the back screens of the Forex and putting itself in a position for the new international exchange rate that was soon to be made public according to Iraqi banks. Get ready for EBS activation. Q says that after Argentina's election on Sunday 22nd of October, everything would change and the world would soon have no internet for a while. We are approaching that timeline. Get ready for it. Q bombshell. EBS activation on October 22nd, Biden's retirement, Trump's return, and the White Hat's plan revealed. Must-watch video on Redemption Center, Currency Exchange and Zim Bonds, Dave Zarpielian, Redemption Center and Zim Bond. Biggest and most important update ever, we never expected this. C2s. October 31, 2023 Bruce, the big call. On Monday 30th of October Bruce was told that if we didn't get the 800s on Tuesday, 31st of October, then we would get them on Wednesday 1st of November. One contact said reclamation and restitution funds would be released for seniors 65 and older this coming weekend. During the month of November the Social Security raises should be seen in your regular SS paycheck. Bank rates were connected to the Forex, while Redemption Center screens showed higher rates. All ZIM holders must go to Redemption Centers. You can have up to 3 banks connected to your Quantum card. The Redemption Center staff member you work with gets 0.025% of the transaction, and it doesn't come out of your monies. Redemption Centers will give you a higher rate than a bank will. In a day or two plan on getting in touch with your banker so they can answer any questions you may have. D Global Financial Crisis, 2s. 31st of October failed bank list. The Bank of Japan is the first domino to fall. The rest of the G7 central banks will fall in rapid succession. Debasement of the currency now leads to rapidly rising bond yields, which will collapse these already existing non-performing financial assets on bank balance sheets. We are rapidly moving into ISO 20022. Prepare for a financial Armageddon. What is about to happen next cannot be stopped. Once investors realize the mounting financial losses from a rapidly debasement of the currency, any hour now. 2s. 31st of October. Australia's banks are refusing cash withdrawals to their customers. It's a real horror show for Swiss National Bank, third quarter loss of 13 billion. Monday 30th of October. Financial upheavals and geopolitical shifts. Fiat USD may no longer be the oil industry's currency of choice after tomorrow, Monday 30th of October. The US debt clock secret window, October 30th 2023, 2s. 31st of October. World Bank warns oil prices could reach $150 a barrel. Amid war on Gaza, Egypt sees highest exchange rate for US dollar in black market, Monday 30th of October. Chair of the Federal Reserve and former US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen hanged at Gitmo. Rothschild-controlled central banks have been lowering the purchase power of currencies around the world for a century, so their little club becomes more powerful and more powerful. Bank of America, ignore the $114 billion unrealized losses. London Stock Exchange system issue halts trading in many stocks. Rite Aid files for bankruptcy as iconic pharmacy chain with 2,100 locations faces hundreds of lawsuits and poor sales. IRS says Microsoft owes $29 billion in back taxes. Nokia to cut up to 14,000 jobs as 5G demand slows. Washington Post to cut 240 positions as Americans turn away from corporate media. National Association of Realtors was found guilty of colluding to keep home sales commissions artificially high, ordered to pay $1.8 billion in damages. China's giant property developer Country Garden has been declared in default on its debt after failing to make a bond repayment by a final deadline of October 18. Exchanging foreign currencies or ZIM bonds. Dave's RP Redemption Center and ZIM bond. Biggest and most important update ever. We never expected this. Thursday 26th of October. Former banker Will Barney joins Brilliance in Commerce to explain the ZIM, give updates and Q&A. F2s. 31st of October. Banking bombshell. The real reason behind those Wells Fargo emails. Inside the exclusive world of redemption centers. Have you, or anyone you know, purchased currency from any authorized dealer in the U.S.? If so, then brace yourself. An email from powerhouses like Wells Fargo Bank or even Chase, both top Tier 1 banks for exchange plus redemption centers, is on its way to your inbox. These digital missives don't originate from the banks alone. No, the U.S. Treasury, with its overarching influence, provides these email lists. The puzzle piece. No one can truly verify if they're on this exclusive list. And thus, to ensure maximum reach, the SafeLink website, the ultimate tool for exchange, will be spread like wildfire across major online platforms and chat forums. Subtle, isn't it? While estimates suggest there are 10 to 12 million individuals in the U.S. holding foreign currency or securities, only a measly 3 to 4 million find their way to the Wells Fargo email list. The reason? Scores of people innocently bringing currencies home after vacations, dutiful military personnel from places like Iraq, charter flights operations, and many more reasons you wouldn't suspect. Anyone longing for higher exchange rates via the exchange or redemption center will be granted a unique personalized 800 number, not to be confused with the pedestrian 1800 numbers. This number, mind you, is one-time use only. Now, if anyone chooses to walk into a bank directly without this unique digital access, they're effectively shooting themselves in the foot. The reason? Banks can only offer what's known as the screen rate or the forex rate, a measly sum compared to what one could obtain. Interestingly, for most, exchange rates in the U.S. stand as fixed, unyielding monoliths, unless, of course, one possesses a particularly hefty amount. Bonds. Now, they're a different ballgame. The rates of exchange, the interest, the fees after working with banks, it's all up for negotiation, pulling the strings behind closed doors. Your unique rendezvous at the redemption or exchange center, however, comes with strings attached. No second helpings allowed. If you think you can dance twice at the same ball, think again. Should anyone attempt a slide double dip, the repercussions will be swift and severe. A second appointment. Reserved for a different basket of currencies scheduled half a year later. The redemption and exchange centers will be open for a brief window of 4 to 6 weeks. Private bank teams, with their vast networks, swoop in, ensuring anyone with redemptions over $1 million is shepherded into trust setups, private banks, and an exclusive world of perks not available to the average Joe. There exist redemption centers with the sole purpose of redeeming bonds, and exchange centers designed for currency-only aficionados. The safety at these centers, top-notch. I have a hunch the military might be lurking in the shadows, ensuring ironclad security. G.R.toward republics, twos. 31st of October. Ladies and gentlemen, the new republic, a dramatic shift in governance and fiscal policy. Monday 30th of October. Bombshell. 9,000 sealed indictments, the world's most wanted people have been taken to Gitmo by U.S. Special Forces. Monday 30th of October. White hats intel, he said it. That was a signal to all the white hats in the background. Monday 30th of October. Boom. The hidden domino effect, Trump, Johnson, and the New Republic, by Donald Trump. The man who had sex with Obama named Larry Sinclair posted a video promising that his interview today 31st of October with Tucker Carlson will change history forever. The real news for twos. 31st of October, Monday 30th of October. Q has released a huge set of files that it calls Year Zero and which mark the biggest exposure of CIA spying secrets ever. Twos. 30th of October. MUOBs drop. Gates, Fauci, Schwab doomed. Warrants to be issued. Diplomatic immunity to be revoked. Whistleblower rocks WHO, UN and WEF, gave damning evidence in crimes against humanity case. Max Saigon, the true face of Israel, the Crowhouse, World Economic Forum to kill 4 billion people by 2050 inches was revealed in a CIA agent's 1992 book Conspiracy Hierarchy, The Story of the Committee of 300. Written by former CIA agent John Coleman, the book was now drawing attention again as its predictions of a post-industrial world controlled by globalist technocrats seem to be coming true. In the book, Coleman claims that an international committee led by the Bilderberg Group and Western intelligence agencies will steer the world toward a dystopian future in which 4 billion useless eaters will be wiped out by 2050 through limited wars, organized epidemics, and starvation. Judging by the events taking place, they decided to speed up the process and not wait until 2050. The disappearance of 4 members of a patent semiconductor traveling on Malaysia Airlines MH370 made the famous billionaire Jacob Rothschild the sole owner of the important patent. Under Obama. Fox News, you'll go nowhere and be happy. It is a true assault on our freedom of movement in the name of climate change. Former U.S. government insider, Mark Morano, exposes the globalist agenda to ban flying, and private car ownership, under the guise of saving the planet. What they're trying to do is make airfare expensive and difficult to obtain, and that's actually baked into these climate regulations. Same thing with cars. They're intentionally collapsing our plentiful car supply by banning gas-powered cars. That creates rationing, which creates shortages, which is then going to force people into mass transit. This week a broken-down bus dropped off over 60 illegals, all male, suspected terrorists, in the Arkansas mountains, who were later picked up by white vans. Witnesses who survived came before the Brussels International Common Law Court of Justice in 2014. 5 judges/27 jury members weighed the evidence. Witnesses stated child sacrifices occurred regularly in the Vatican, catacombs of Catholic cathedrals, private estates, groves and Gov military bases in Belgium, Holland, Spain, Australia, Ireland, France, England, and United States. The children came from detention centers in Belgium/Holland, according to a former member of Octopus, Netherlands criminal drug cartel. Nuclear World War III, twos. 31st of October. Eyes wide open, 21 of the world's strongest armies, including the US, UK, China, and Russia, are building up their military power in the Middle East for the first time since the end of World War II. Twos. 31st of October. World War III setup incoming, FBI Dear. Ray is on Fox stressing the fact that Iran is a major threat to the U.S. in all aspects, even before the war in Israel. Shiite factions in Lebanon linked to Iran have given Israel until 1500 hours on November 3, 2023 to stop attacks on the Gaza Strip. Are you guys paying attention to what seems to be a highly coordinated date on November 3? That's this Friday. Formation of U.S. Incorporated, Israel by Khazarian Mafia. In 1871 Congress passed the 1871 Act of England, forming a private corporation known as the United States while ending the U.S. taxpayers' rights of sovereignty. U.S. Incorporated Corp., owned by foreign interests, including the Rothschilds and their Khazarian mafia out of Israel, shoved the organic version of the Constitution aside by changing the word "for" to "of" in the title. The act gave our taxes to the bankers, and those private bankers, led by the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and their Khazarian mafia out of Israel, eventually established their own privately owned Federal Reserve and IRS in the foreign countries of Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. In fact, not only did Washington, D.C.'s U.S. Incorporated become a private corporate entity that went bankrupt in 2008, but the Vatican, City of London, Buckingham Palace and State of Israel, all were made corporate entities that were totally unaccountable, self-interested, for-profit, corporations abusing the powers of government. N.EWS, the real genocide of Nazi Germany, the biggest cover-up in human history. It's the darkest and best-kept secret in world history, what happened to Germany during and after the war. Never in history have so many people been raped. Never in history have so many people been tortured. Never in history have so many people been murdered. And never in history have so few people known about it. A crime so staggering that there is no word in the English language that can describe it. Hellstorm is a direct refutation of 75 years of lies and propaganda created by the Jewish media, Hollywood, and academia. Thanks to Thomas Goodrich and those who suffered blacklisting and social shame for bringing this to us. We will not forget the horrors committed on our people, nor the subversives who tried to convince us they were the victims and not the perpetrators. Oh Biden crime family, 82,000 pages of emails Joe Biden sent or received on 3 private pseudonym accounts for illicit business deals with foreign officials located. 2s. 31st of October FBI exposes corrupt Biden family. Ukraine is not Trump's fault, Iran is not Trump's fault, Israel is not Trump's fault, inflation is not Trump's fault, energy is not Trump's fault, woke is not Trump's fault, the border is not Trump's fault, it's Joe Biden's fault. All of it. Biden administration's new nuclear weapon raises concerns amid global tensions, conservative Cardinal. P. Corrupt U.S. legal system. Do members of the bar serve the British corporate constitution, or the U.S. Republic Constitution? The 13th Amendment. On December 6, 1865, the present 13th Amendment was added to the U.S. Constitution. That amendment deals with slavery. But it should have been the 14th Amendment. Instead, history was rewritten, and the original 13th Amendment was removed from the public record. The original 13th Amendment put teeth in a provision already in the Constitution, the prohibition against American citizens holding titles and honors. The Constitution prohibits it, but the 13th Amendment designated a penalty: loss of citizenship. This amendment was stricken from the record by lawyers in America. Did you know that when American lawyers become members of the Bar Association they are being recognized by the British Accredited Registry? That's what BAR stands for. So, they join a foreign organization and are awarded the title Esquire. This is illegal under the Constitution, and if the original 13th Amendment were in effect, all members of the bar would lose their citizenship. All the evidence in place proves that the 13th Amendment was illegally removed from the U.S. Constitution, but the federal court system and lawyers are not going to address this issue. Monday 30th of October, President Trump just arrived at the witch hunt trial taking place in the very badly failing, so sadly, state of New York, where people and companies are fleeing by the thousands. Corrupt Attorney General, Letitia James, is a big reason for this. Statute 6312 is meant to be used for consumer fraud. It has never been used before on a case such as this, especially since I did absolutely nothing wrong. I borrowed money, paid it back, in full, and got sued, years later, with a trial right in the middle of my campaign. I am not even entitled, under any circumstances, to a jury. This witch hunt cannot be allowed to continue. It is election interference and the start of communism right here in America. Official statement by the 45th President of the United States of America Donald J. Trump: this is Democrat political lawfare, and a witch hunt at a level never seen before. It is an attempt to badly injure the opposing party's leading, by far, political candidate. Nothing like this has ever happened in our country before. My civil rights have been violated, and some appellate court, whether federal or state, must reverse this horrible, un-American decision. If they can do this to me, they can do this to you. WWG1GA, are you ready? Ken and Barbie vs. Goliath, motion for discovery reveals DOJ's collusion conspiracy to deny constitutional rights. Defining sovereign authority of the people over the government, C.C. Miller. Monday 30th of October X22 report, confirmed. Deep State set the path and under investigation. We can now do things that were not possible. The changing of the guard, Ariel. It is widely known that 21 major countries are currently refusing to use the US dollar for oil transactions. Countries such as Russia, China, India, and even Germany, France, and the United Kingdom are among those who will no longer accept US dollars. The deadline for the cessation of US dollar acceptance for oil transactions is set for October 31, 2023. With this new shift, these countries will no longer purchase bonds that cannot be used for oil trade, marking a transition to a new reserve currency. Consequently, a massive influx of dollars held in foreign accounts is expected to return to the United States, posing a significant threat to the American monetary system. A critical signal of this impending crisis is China's announcement of its intention to halt the purchase of U.S. debt, thereby leading the Federal Reserve to increase its current rate of dollar printing from $85 billion. The impending catastrophe is anticipated to exceed the scale of the 1930s stock market crash, catching many unaware of its potential magnitude. The situation, scheduled to culminate on October 31, 2023, appears to be rapidly approaching a critical tipping point, with far-reaching implications for the American economy and global financial stability. This brings us to Israel, who is propped up by the fiat USD printed by the Federal Reserve, which is controlled by who? The Rothschild. Who created the State of Israel? The Rothschild. Their entire empire is predicated upon the Middle East accepting the fiat USD for oil payments. Guess who will no longer be using this for daily commerce? Iraq. Over 200 countries are dumping the USD. So ask yourself, what will the Rothschild/Khazarian use if the Federal Reserve has already been nationalized and absorbed by the U.S. Treasury, who now controls the printing press? People like to call Donald Trump a Zionist. But they fail to mention that Trump was not against Iraq banning all ties to Zionist Israel by outlawing trade deals for all Iraq. Shouldn't Trump be bad-mouthing Iraq, who implemented penalties by law for anyone caught doing business with Zionists? Why is Trump allowing Israel to be ostracized from emerging markets in the Middle East? Remember, if Israel gets any aid, ask yourself, who is it really going to? Bibi Netanyahu is facing war crimes. His citizens want him gone. You do not think Trump knows that Bibi Netanyahu was behind 9/11. You do not think he knows that Netanyahu was behind Hamas. All you have to do is go back to what he said, when he asked us, why doesn't ISIS terrorists ever attack Israel? Because a dog doesn't bite its own tail. Israel is the head of the Khazarian mafia. The Western Rothschild banks are collapsing at present while BRICS ascends. This means the debt slaves the Rothschild banking system created are refusing or unable to repay the principal and exorbitant interest these banks imposed for centuries. The Khazarian mafia is broke. In Q quote. This was from Zeta Talks. Why are they stating the same in regards to my sentiment about Israel? Ask yourself, why did Trump sign a second Declaration of Independence? Wouldn't this inadvertently mean that we were under control of a foreign power? Wouldn't this mean that the 1871 Core Pact created by the Rothschild who created Israel are no longer in control of this country through our political and banking system? Once the stock market correction occurs, precious metals that they worked so hard to suppress will rise unabated. Guess what our new currency will be based on? The gold standard. All the tools that will help the new financial system are operating and are reaching completion. So for ISO 20022 Basel III COMEX 589 Protocol 20, the best is yet to come. White Hat Intel, all wars are started by a false flag. Pearl Harbor in World War II, Gulf of Tonkin in Vietnam, 9/11 in Iraq, etc. On September 11, Building 7 fell without anything hitting it. 9/11 happened and Building WTC-7 was destroyed to prevent GC.R. What's happening in Israel is to stop GC.R. The revaluation of all currencies is here. The fleeing Khazarians have lost control of the world financial system. All the major oil-producing countries have joined BRICS Plus, and they are primarily Arab countries. T2s. 31st of October, JFK secrets on Telegram, executive branch equals Mill and President. Trump never seceded because they acknowledged him as commander-in-chief of the greatest military operation in the world. They are taking down treasonous legislative and judicial officials who have infiltrated our government over the past several hundred years, and most recently since the CIA was founded in 1947. Kennedy and Reagan, Bush equals CIA Director, Bush equals VP. Assassination, attempted association, Halliburton founder equals Lolo Sutara, Lolo equals Barry Sutara father, Hussein, Lolo equals best friends with Bush/Bin Laden. Lolo plus Dunham equals CIA Ops. GWB plus BO equals friends since childhood, BO plus Michael LaVaughn Robinson, Michelle, equals CIA Ops. How do you globalize the world, take over the Middle East, and make yourself rich? War. 9/11 equals inside job. OSB equals pawn, OSB plus family equals safe with Bush family, Washington state, OSB killed. Body double. Iran pulled him out and demanded $157 billion from Obama to not release the truth. Afghanistan shoots down SEAL chopper. SEALs Doherty and Woods killed in Benghazi. What did they know? Last witnesses. Trump elected, Russiagate, Stormy Daniels, taxes, racism, xenophobia, attack after attack. Why? Remove him at all costs to save yourselves. CCP greater than Beijing Biden, insert COVID, MSM and big tech puppets promote fear, promote mail-in voting. CCP prints massive amounts of ballots, use 2010 census for voter registration, big tech installs drop boxes, ballot counters given instructions, Dominion flipping votes via hacking, cover-ups everywhere. How do you expose them and take everything from them? You prepare for them cheating and let them do it for the world to see. Who are these people? Who/what do they worship? How do they practice their religion? What/who do they sacrifice for power? What group is founded on these beliefs? FMs. Freemasonry describes itself as a beautiful system of morality, veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. Symbolism will be their downfall. Why did Trump issue EO 13,818 and 13,848? Trump won the election and our amazing military knows that. The clowns on TV are bought puppets. He was impeached after he lost because the judicial and legislative branches knew he was still president and they had no control over the military with him having a position in government. Note, you can only impeach people who hold a position in government. Why would they impeach an incumbent president who lost? They caught them all. They have everything. Bottom line, NCSIC. ZZ. World Economic Forum founder, Klaus Schwab, the future is corporate communism. I believe that the future is not state capitalism or shareholder capitalism. The future is what I call stakeholder capitalism, which is combined with social responsibility. As explained in an article from the Washington Times, stakeholder capitalism is communism in disguise. Under a WEF-imagined stakeholder system, banks wouldn't lend to businesses that don't comply with, say, climate change policies or, say, vaccination mandates. Investors wouldn't invest if the WEF didn't approve. Insurers wouldn't insure, governments wouldn't permit, developers wouldn't develop, builders wouldn't build, and so forth and so on. The government, through partners and friends in business, would be the behind-the-scenes strings puller. Z. 2s. 31st of October Rockefellers, just MM on Telegram. The Federal Reserve Cartel, the Rothschild, Rockefeller, and Morgan families. The Four Horsemen of Banking, Bank of America, J.P. Morgan Chase, Citigroup and Wells Fargo, own the Four Horsemen of Oil, ExxonMobil, Royal Dutch/Shell, BP and Chevron Texaco, in tandem with Deutsche Bank, BNP, greater than Barclays and other European old money behemoths. But their monopoly over the global economy does not end at the edge of the oil patch. They control the music industry through a wide network of private banks. Private investors, privatization of the music industry through record label conglomerates and companies that do the bidding of the North American Rockefeller crime cartel and elite organizations. The Devil's Pitch. In the early 1900s, the Rockefellers' military commercialization of music changed the world standard tuning of music through the world to 440 pitch. This frequency was known to create greater aggression, psychosocial agitation and emotional distress, predisposing people to physical illnesses. There were agents, agencies and companies engaged in the monopoly who profited. In the late 1980s, the Rockefellers brought together the top music executives and top talent together in Los Angeles, California. The purpose of the highly important secretive meeting was to bring in the age of controlled rap music, which would connect to privatization of U.S. prisons. These privately owned prisons of the Rockefellers, Rothschild and Bushes were money laundering operations, tax exemption and pyramid scheme operations. The idea of controlling the rap industry and black communities through violent music supported by oppression and civil unrest connected to young black youth as their targets. The Rockefellers brought together the top executives and first leading black rappers artists. After signing a confidentiality agreement of the meeting, the purpose of the agenda was told to the invited members. They were told, the violence of the rap music movement would be coordinated and the first major record companies' labels producing the music would have all the rights to production and distribution through the United States, and they would have shares of points inside the private prison systems. The highest level Masonic plan worked, and by 1990 there were over 1,500 private prison systems housing over 1 million black teenagers who used the violent rap music to express a black generational trauma instilled in them. The private prison systems got hundreds of billions a year from the government sectors. Everyone got paid, including Congress, Senate ECT who passed bills and laws allowing money to flow to the new prison system. Money laundering came in forms of super high inflated products inmates could purchase, oftentimes 8x higher than the average national value. Ramen noodles, which cost only 15 cents, was inflated to $1.50 equals 10x more. Food, supplies, clothing was a major market to hide hundreds of billions of laundered money. Hundreds of billions came from government funding. Hundreds of billions was moved through pyramid schemes. Hundreds of billions was moved through insurance companies. By the end of year 2000, as the Rockefellers had planned, their privatization of prisons had raked in trillions over a 12-year span. Local courts and judges threw the books at petty criminals, first-time offenders, and filled the continuing creating of private prisons. To this day, the United States has the most incarcerated humans in prisons through the world, with the most prisons ever created. This was all by design. The Rockefellers not only control the world's medical industry, the U.S. media, tech giants, and big pharma, but also control the music industry. Today, with the White Hat military alliance operations removing the Rothschild deep state power in Europe, the UK, Russia and China, the alliance also puts the Rockefellers inside the kill box.